The playoff hunt continued last week in San Francisco's Candlestick Park, where the 49ers hope to gun down the NFC Central Division champion Detroit Lions. The 49er defense dominated the first half, and defending against the Lions was a bit easier when reserve quarterback Gary Danielson started in place of the injured Eric Hipple. Danielson spent the day firing into one of the NFL's premier secondaries, a unit that features two All-Pros, Dwight Hicks and number 42, Ronnie Lott. Not too surprisingly, Hicks and Lott each intercepted a pass. What was quite surprising was the play of little-known linebacker Ricky Ellison, number 50. Ellison hadn't intercepted a single pass all season long, but in this vital playoff tilt, he picked off a pair. There are some that contend that the modern player is an emotionless entity who tends to look upon football as a business and not a game. This belief is simply not true, and Ricky Ellison proved that emphatically against the Lions. Both of his interceptions set up short scoring runs, one by Wendell Tyler and another by rookie Roger Craig, number 33. Down 14-3 and having thrown 4 interceptions, Danielson sought out Billy Sims as the Lions wisely opted to attack San Francisco on the ground. Sims broke free for 56 yards, and his journey set up one of 3 Eddie Murray first-half field goals, one a playoff record 54-yarder. It is said that when two tough teams collide in the playoffs, turnovers determine the winner. Still, after being dominated in the first half and consistently handing the ball over to the 49ers, the Lions trailed by merely 5, 14-9. They were confident entering the third quarter, where the only scoring was a San Francisco field goal set up by a dazzling fingertip catch by tight end Russ Francis. The 49ers held a 17-9 lead with 20 minutes left, and then Sims and Detroit's front wall took over. Number 30 James Jones teamed up with tight end Rob Rubick, number 84, and a downfield block by center Don Greco paved the way for the first of a pair of Billy Sims' fourth quarter touchdowns. Sims' 11-yarder narrowed the Niner lead, and his second scoring run behind a crushing trap block by number 61, Homer Elias, gave Detroit the lead. With less than 5 minutes left, San Francisco found themselves down by 6. So all Joe Montana did was fire 6 straight completions on a downfield drive, with number 6 falling into the trusty hands of Freddie Salomon, number 88. Salomon's catch put the 49ers back on top 24-23, a lead they earned with a convincing play-action fake and Salomon making a shambles of single coverage. With 1 minute and 23 seconds left, Candlestick rocked so hard that the park almost crumbled into the bay. But with 5 seconds left, you could almost hear the faint chirping of seagulls overhead, as thousands, along with Eddie Murray, watched the ball sail towards a set of lonely uprights 43 yards away. After nailing a 54-yarder earlier, Murray's 43-yard attempt fluttered wide, and along with it came a trip to RFK Stadium in the NFC Championship game for the ecstatic and quite fortunate San Francisco 49ers. Winners by one, 24-23, San Francisco must now prepare for the defending world champion Redskins in the hopes of attaining their second Super Bowl visit in 3 years. Detroit must prepare too. They must prepare to defend their division championship, their first since 1957. But one must admit it'll be mighty hard to forget about that 43-yarder that sailed right with but 5 ticks left. On New Year's Day at precisely 12:45 Eastern Standard Time, Coach John Robinson was a happy man. His Rams had beaten the Cowboys to advance to round 2 of the playoffs, and Robinson was named NFC Coach of the Year. But minutes later, the smiles vanished when Los Angeles found themselves surrounded by Redskins and under attack. In typically economical fashion, the Washington Redskins scored on their first 5 possessions and began their first assault on the LA end zone with a 29-yard catch and run by Charlie Brown, number 87. Brown's reception set the stage for another big playoff afternoon for fullback John Riggins. Riggins ran for 119 yards on the day, and it marked the 5th straight postseason game that he had run for over 100 yards, an NFL record. And number 44's 3 touchdowns in the first half set another playoff mark. When Riggins took a breather, quarterback Joe Theismann went airborne with a 40-yard scoring pass to wide receiver Art Monk, number 81. Monk's touchdown helped build a 24-0 Redskin lead in the second period. Meanwhile, the Washington defense stonewalled the Rams' primary running threat, Eric Dickerson, the NFL's Rookie of the Year. With just 16 yards on 10 carries, number 29 closed out his rookie season with his worst day as a pro. With the running game shut down, the Rams' only alternative was the pass, and their only score of the day came when quarterback Vince Ferragamo found a rare soft spot in the Redskin defense and hit Preston Denard for a 32-yard touchdown. And even this play lacked the look of a champion. Before the half was over, the Redskins rebounded with 2 more touchdowns that included another Theismann to Monk scoring pass. By intermission, Washington had put 38 points on the board, the most ever scored by one team in one half in playoff history. As a team, the Redskins played near-perfect football. Individually, Charlie Brown played just plain perfect football and turned in the play of the game. Double covered all afternoon, Brown made the kind of play that separates the All-Pros from the also-rans. Before leaving the game with a strained hamstring, number 87 parlayed 6 catches into 171 yards. Brown's superlative performance was matched on defense by rookie cornerback Darrell Green. After breaking up 6 passes and making 7 tackles, number 28 took a deflected pass and ran it back 72 yards for the final Redskin touchdown in a 51-7 annihilation of the outclassed Rams. The win put the Skins into the NFC Championship game against the 49ers and sent the Rams back to Los Angeles in a fog. New Year's is a time to ring out the old and ring in the new. The Rams simply got wrung out. For the 2 weeks preceding their AFC playoff game against the Raiders, the identity of the Steeler quarterback was something of a closely guarded secret. There was a suited-up but sore-armed Terry Bradshaw, and even a talented but untested Mark Malone seemingly ready to play. But ultimately, Steeler coach Chuck Noll decided to stick it out with Cliff Stout, his starter for most of the season. And for a few brief shining moments in the first quarter, it appeared to be an accurate decision. With rookie wide receiver Wayne Capers evoking memories of Lynn Swann and circus catches of playoffs past, the Steelers drove 78 yards on 6 plays on their second possession to take an early 3-0 lead. But any chance this game had of looking like a repeat of a Raiders-Steeler playoff clash of the 1970s was laid to rest when a dominant Raider defense rudely reminded Stout it was 1984. Led by the pass rush of rookie defensive end Greg Townsend, number 93, and by that ageless assassin of quarterbacks himself, number 77, Lyle Alzado, the Raiders sacked Stout 5 times. Before the game, one Raider defender boldly predicted that there was no way on earth that the Raiders would lose to the Steelers. It proved true as the Steeler passing game spent more time on terra firma than up in the skies. And the man who made the dire warning, cornerback Lester Hayes, number 37, backed up his brash words by stealing a Stout pass and taking it in for the Raiders' first score. Hayes' interception fired up what had been a cold first-quarter Raider offense. Before a Los Angeles Coliseum crowd of 90,334, the largest non-Super Bowl playoff crowd in NFL history, the Raiders suddenly began to pile up the yards and points in their familiar making-it-look-easy fashion. Jim Plunkett was on target for 21 of 34 passes, including 7 to the NFL's leading receiver Todd Christensen, number 46. But it was a relentless Raider ground assault led by a leaping Marcus Allen that tore to shreds a Pittsburgh defense that only vaguely resembled a steel curtain. Allen ran for 121 yards and 2 touchdowns, his second coming on a 49-yard burst through the Steelers secondary that ballooned the score to 31-3 and buried Pittsburgh for good. The Raiders prevailed 38-10 and earned the right to meet the upstart Seattle Seahawks for the AFC Championship. For the Steelers, well, it was their worst playoff defeat ever, and it came against their most bitter rivals and in front of one of the largest crowds in NFL history. That was enough to make some grown men on the Steelers side of the field sit down and cry. Last week in Miami, most football observers came to bury the Seattle Seahawks, not to praise them. These first-time playoff participants had had their fun winning the wild card round, but now most felt they were in for a rude awakening. Seattle was facing Don Shula's Miami Dolphins in the Orange Bowl, where on most occasions the home team has easily brushed opponents aside. The defending AFC champions were extremely rude hosts at the outset, dominating Seattle in the trenches and beating them in aerial combat as well. Tight end Dan Johnson opened the scoring in period 2, but Miami flubbed the extra point. Then the Dolphins special teams made another mistake when they failed to put the clamps on Seahawks kick returner Zachary Dixon, number 31. Dixon's 59-yard run back sparked the Seahawks to their first touchdown, a flat pass flip to veteran fullback Cullen Bryant, number 32. For the former Ram Bryant, it was his first touchdown in nearly 3 seasons. The 11-year pro gave Seattle its first lead at 7-6. But it was a pair of Dolphin youngsters that took that lead away. Dan Marino fired a perfect toss to favorite target Mark Super Duper, number 85, and Miami went ahead 13-7. The Dolphins maintained their advantage until midway through the third quarter, when Seattle quarterback Dave Krieg hit on a string of completions to set up a score. Paul Johns, number 85, made the key reception that preceded a short Kurt Warner touchdown run. When Seattle added the field goals soon after, they had a surprising 17-13 lead deep into the fourth quarter. In each of the last 3 games, Seattle had committed no turnovers, and in each of those games they had won. But their flawless string came to an end when Krieg and wide receiver Steve Largent miscommunicated on a pass pattern. The result was a costly interception gathered in by Dolphin cornerback Gerald Small, number 48. Seattle entered this game as a decided underdog, but it outplayed Miami until this mistake. Now it appeared as if the Dolphins were going to be let off the hook, as a furious Dave Krieg admonished himself for a pass that should never have been thrown. Pro football's only free agent starting quarterback then watched in horror as his worst fears were confirmed. Number 34, short yardage specialist Woody Bennett blasted in from 3 yards out. And every man and beast in the Sunshine State celebrated as the Dolphins reclaimed the lead 20-17. Less than 5 minutes remained in the game, and few felt the young and inexperienced Seahawks would recover emotionally from such a crippling error. But the wheel of fortune often turns in both directions, and amazingly, the 2 men responsible for the interception, Krieg and Largent, were the 2 men who rallied the team to victory. Largent had not caught a pass all day, but he hauled in 2 receptions in the closing moments to set up the game-clinching score, a sweep into the end zone by Kurt Warner. Warner closed out the day with 113 yards and 2 touchdowns. This touchdown gave Seattle a lead they would never lose. The Seahawks later added the field goal to make the final score 27-20. Until this season, Seattle had never won more than 3 games in succession at any time in franchise history. By upsetting the Dolphins, Chuck Knox's club has now won 4 games in a row. And a better time to assemble a streak they could not have chosen. No longer can this team be considered party crashers to the playoffs. They have proven they truly belong with the best. And if Seattle can find a way to beat the Raiders this week, the Cinderella Seahawks will be handed an engraved invitation to the Super Bowl 18 ball.